from Lowdown with Lyss. Well, the Lyss from EBTB as well. I here on week 2 for my weekly recap. So let's just dive into it. As per usual, I am getting the hang of editing. So if it's not super great, I'm sorry, but also drop your tips below. That would be super helpful. As somebody who is trying to get better at this and also make funny, useful, and informative content, I guess. Okay, week 2 starts off with the Clockwork Prince. So I was lucky enough to be able to finish 5 books this week. And that's just because I had a little bit more time off work, and I use that to the maximum extent possible. So again, starting with Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare, this tops in at 501 pages. I think I'm going to start including pages just to be like, dang, that was a long book. But we have 501 pages. Again, I had this as an audiobook. Most of my books are audiobook. I guess I'll let you know if it's not an audiobook. I think that's more important. But regardless, it's an audiobook. In this book, we dive into the second of the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. This book really focuses on where we left off in the first book. Obviously, this is a running plot. We are trying to figure out who is actually behind everything, who the Magister really is, because the person that we thought in book 1, it really wasn't them. Shocker. So how do we catch them? How do we find them? How do we bring them to justice? We also learn a little bit more about Will and why he is acting the way that he does to Tessa, to the Institute caretakers, which I cannot remember their names off the top of my head. I'm gonna remove these glasses so you guys don't see the lights. But we find out that Will thought he was cursed, and so he's been waiting for a couple years to like catch this demon and like really have the demon take back this curse. And turns out the demon never really put a curse on him, and he's just been living his life in this really like opposed to how he would normally live it, and so his role just gets turned upside down. At the same part where Will is having this revelation, you see Tessa and Jen come together, and you can tell that Tessa really loves Jem. You can also tell Tessa really loves Will, so it becomes very like hard as a reader to choose who you want more. I think this was probably the first book I can actually remember when I was little being like, why does she have to choose? Whatever, harem it up. Didn't know that was the word at the time, but I was like, let her have both. Let her eat cake, honestly. But we see Jem propose to Tessa, and Tessa accepts because she thinks that Will is never gonna love her because he's kind of been a jackass to her, which we find out at the same time, oh, that's why. Shit. And then Will comes back and is like, hey, I can live my life the way I want to now. Tessa, I love you. Take me back. And she's like, so, you're too slow, and I am getting married to Jem. Ugh. It's a little bit of a pity acceptance, and like a small bit. I would say like 5% pity, 95% love. But Tessa understands that like Jem is dying and wants to give him the best life, which is really admirable. Because she does love him. This isn't just like a friend thing. So yeah, that's kind of where we leave off, is everybody's kind of like, fuck, now what? Everything we thought we knew is just not there, and what do we do now? So I ended up rating that 4 stars. Not 5, just because it didn't like blow me away. I kind of like the writing is okay. Like nothing blew me away of like, oh my god, that's the best book I've ever read. But it was still really good. The second book I got to finish was Anne of Avenue A. This was by Audrey Belleza and Emily Harding. This is, let me look that up. It's a series, so it starts off with Emma of 83rd Street, I think that's what it is. And this whole series is a play off of notable like Jane Austen characters. So the first one was Emma Woodhouse. The second was a retelling of Elizabeth and Darcy, so Pride and Prejudice. And this one is Persuasion. Oh, that's what it is, For the Love of Austen. So this was the third in the series. I don't think there's more at out right now. This was the third one. So again, it follows Anne, and it does a unique perspective and a modern telling of persuasion. So think Dakota Johnson's Persuasion on Netflix, but modern. I know a lot of people had really weird feelings about that. I thought it was fine. Whatever. I really enjoyed a lot of people don't like Dakota Johnson. Whatever. I thought she was fine. But I thought it was really cute. This came in around 336 pages. There's nothing more I can say. If you know the story of Persuasion, it's just like this, but a little gender bending, a little making it modern to fit in modern day times. It all takes place in New York. So I thought it was really nice. I thought it was really cute. I rated that as a 4 as well. Next, we get into Half His Age by Jennette McCurdy. So Jennette McCurdy being Sam from iCarly and Sam McCat. So Jennette McCurdy, her first debut book was about her mom, and it was called I'm Glad My Mom Died. And it was like her memoir about growing up and having to deal with family politics as well as like the Nickelodeon politics, and like being pitted against like other young women as a young person. Like that was devastating, and like kind of going through her mother's relationship with her as well. So like that was already written well, and this is Jennette's first foray into fiction. Again called Half His Age. This clocks in around 288 pages. I say in and around because there's Kindle versions and the audiobook versions, and there's hardcover and paperback, so they all kind of have slightly different page numbers. But again, this is Half His Age. This is about Waldo, a young girl who grows up in an abusive household, and a negligent household really as well. Like her mom doesn't pay enough attention to her, and like she has a lot of these like breakthroughs of, oh, this time it's going to be better. Oh, this time it's going to be better. Let me go back to therapy. But at least her mom's trying, which is nice. But it all stems from, I guess, being wanted and being loved, and Waldo doesn't grow up being loved very much in the way that she is needed as a young child. So she's had to grow up really quickly. So she ends up falling for her English teacher, and her English teacher, it starts off very innocent. Like he like sees the good in her, and he sees like how she's writing is like she's got a lot of promise. Waldo's like, oh yes, it's because he likes me. And then Waldo basically, it's like reverse grooming in a way. Waldo goes after him, and like starts to like trip up on these boundaries, and like trying to push those boundaries each and every time, until the teacher's like they are now in a consensual relationship. And it gets like really weird. Obviously he should not be accepting of this. He should have he has his own family. He has a wife and 1 or 2 children, I think. But yeah, it delves into that relationship and how Waldo is perceiving it, and how she is this guy's all in a way. Like he's definitely escaping his marriage, and falling for somebody who's younger and like looks up to him, and like giving him that type of love and acceptance, I guess, until Waldo kind of pushes back and says, hey, like, you're not giving me the love that I need because you are worried about your wife. And like, again, it's very, very messy, and not condoning either parts of it, obviously. But Waldo ends up kind of giving the teacher an ultimatum, and he ends up actually leaving his wife for her, which is crazy, because she's young. That's nuts. But they have like a couple blissful months until Waldo's like, this is bad. Like now he's becoming, since he has uprooted his life for her, he's going through his midlife crisis, and he puts everything into her, and he starts becoming very clingy and very like, where are you going? What are you doing? And so she can't handle it. And so what I really liked about this book was the ending and how abrupt it was. It definitely leaves you up to think about what's going on, but Waldo ends up leaving both her mother and the teacher and just goes off on her own, which is like very empowering. She's like, hey, I recognize this is not good for me in either events, and yeah, I gotta have something better for myself. And so I really appreciated that. I did give this a 3. It was written very well, and so honestly, actually, I think I gave this like a 3.5. I'm pretty sure I gave this like a 3.5 because it was good. It was written very well. I just wasn't like absolutely blown away, if that makes sense. Like a book can be written very well and like not contain things. Like I just wanted more for Waldo, I think. I just wanted her to have more of a breakthrough and like kind of stand up for herself and have that self-actualization and realization. But I don't think we're gonna get that just because of how young she is. So it just didn't blow me away enough to like give it a 5. But it was a good book, creepy but good, you know, like the world is. So yeah, ended up giving that a 3. This next book blew me away. I was not expecting this. So it's called How to Become a Dark Lord and Die Trying by Django Wexler. And this book was such a fun ride, honestly. It's about literally, again, the name says it all, how to become a Dark Lord and die trying. Davi is the main character, and we realize that she is in a time loop. Basically, like Davi has lived for 1,000 years, and she's stuck in this world, and it's almost like a video game, right? Like you die and you respawn back. Instead of like save points, she starts over at the beginning of like her coming into this world. So it is a bunch of like doing the same thing and getting farther enough, or like doing something different every time. So Davi's had like 1,000 years to figure out this world and figure out what's happening. And so she's always trying to be like this savior character of like, oh, I'm going to save this world from this Dark Lord. And that never ends up right. And so she's like, finally one day she's like, well, fuck it. I am going to become the Dark Lord. It's going to be me. Only I could do this. So she sets off on her quest to become the Dark Lord. And we see her fail in the beginning a little bit, but then like she has a really successful run, and you're like, oh god, if she dies now, she's gonna have to restart all of this over again, and who knows if it will work. But it's very much written in the same vein as Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Didman. It's very, it's not trying to be something different, I guess. It's not trying to be like posh or like academic, you know, how some books are. Like they're very, I guess, condescending in a way, or like, oh, only high literature readers can read this. No, this also falls in the same vein of Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. It's a very easy read. It is funny, it's engaging, you get her commentary on top of what the actual story is. It is just a really fun ride, and so like you go through Davi's ups and downs and how she will become or not become the Dark Lord. It is a duology. I'm currently reading the second one right now, which is Everybody Wants to Rule the World Except Me. So even the titles are really funny. But I gave this a 5. This is also part of the Dark Lord Davi series. Again, there's only 2, so I'll be able to tell you the conclusion at the end, now hopefully next week. But this clocks in around 392 pages. Again, if you're looking for a fun escapist and you don't really, and you want Dungeon Crawler Carl, but with a female voice, this is it. It's very great. I will say Davi is I'd probably put her in like the pansexual category. Probably. She's definitely bisexual for sure, but in this world there are a bunch of different classes and races, and so like they don't just translate into human and orc. It's like this guy's a half alligator, half not. This guy's a fox guy. This guy's not. This guy has wings but also has a tail. Like it's very crazy. So Davi loves everybody and everything, and I think that's really beautiful. But it was just so fun. I couldn't get enough of it. So obviously reading the second one. Definitely highly recommend, 5 stars. Couldn't get enough of it. And we leave off on Hamnet. So this was by Maggie O'Farrell, clocks in around 372 pages. This is not part of her series. It's just a one-off. And so this is a retelling of, well, I'd honestly, it's like a weird like historical fiction, but also fantasy that melds fantasy into it. I definitely just put it in the category of fiction, but it is definitely like a conglomeration of a couple different things. But this is about basically William Shakespeare and his wife Agnes. So we know the story, and this is like the historical fiction piece of it, is that um, we know William Shakespeare's wife was Anne Hathaway, not Princess Genovia Anne Hathaway, but the other Anne Hathaway. And it turns out that there's a couple letters that actually name her name as Agnes, and that she just goes by Anne, I guess. But in this book, they really stay true to the Agnes piece of it. And so Agnes grows up, and she's kind of an oddball character. She kind of has these powers where she's able to like divine the future, basically, either through a hand touch or just like get these visions. And so she kind of becomes ostracized from her town. And then William comes into play because he's actually due to like familial backstory, and his dad ends up owing Agnes's family, and so the dad sends Will over to teach the Agnes's brothers, I guess, the letters, like Latin and everything, and so he falls in love with Agnes. Agnes and him end up like against the family's wishes, getting together, having a baby, getting married, all that stuff. And then she has this vision that she kind of sees Will like fading away. He becomes like very it's like his aura is black basically, and he's just trying to like get through life without like the love of life. And so she ends up sending him to London. She's like, that's where your future is. Turns out obviously she's right, like he becomes the William Shakespeare. And it's about how their two children, well actually they have three children, Susanna, Hamnet, and Juliana, I think it is. Ugh, I'm so bad with names. But Hamnet and Juliana came into the world as twins. Even Agnes was not expecting that. That blew her mind, even though like she knew she was going to have two children. She didn't realize she knew that she was going to have two children standing at her deathbed, but she didn't realize that the symbolism of that. Like she already had Susanna. And then she has Hamnet and Juliana. And so Hamnet and Juliana are twins. Juliana came in this world very sick. Hamnet was like this very bright, lovey, like a bubbly little boy. Juliana becomes sick, and then again, talking about like the high fantasy beyond like Agnes's powers is that Hamnet loves his sister so much that he is able to like take her place, dying instead of Juliana. So again, talking about that fantasy, obviously not the historical fiction, but so Hamnet dies, and this drives Will into like a depressive state. He doesn't really end up talking to Agnes a lot. Again, spoiler, Hamnet dies. But that is how we get Hamlet. Agnes hears of this play, and it's so close to like their son's name that she's fucking pissed at Will, and she's like, how could he do this? So she ends up going to the Globe Theater, and being in the audience and watching this, and she's like, this sucks, like I can't believe he would use like our son's name like this, blah 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 blah. And then finally she gets to the point where Will is actually acting as the dad, is acting as Hamlet and talking to his dad's ghost, and basically saying that he wishes he could take his dad's place, and like his dad would live. And so she starts to realize that, oh, that symbolism, she did not realize it hit Will as hard as it did, and that he would do anything to have his son be alive and have him take his place. And so it was just a good retelling, I guess, of the facts and the historical fiction of it all, but also adding a fantasy to that story. It was really good. I ended up again giving this a 3. There were a lot of pieces of this book where I was just hella bored. Like, I get it, we were doing exposition and telling things to make sense later down the road, but it was a little longer than what I was expecting. It doesn't really just like, I think the story had a pacing problem, to be honest. It was good. It was just high, low, 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 high, low, 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 high, low, high, and then you end. And so it wasn't as enjoyable for me as a reader or as the audience, but overall pretty good. Still good. I still did enjoy that. Okay. That's all I have for this week. Yeah. You know what? Maybe I'll do a question. What has been your favorite book that you've read so far of 2026? And in the next the next Lowdown with Lyss, I'll hopefully be able to address all of them. And then I'll talk about a couple of my favorite reads. We'll do that. How about that? Yay! I guess I should leave off with what I'm currently reading. So let me get to my Goodreads. I am currently, again, listening to Everybody Wants to Rule the World Except Me, the second in the Dark Lord Dobby series. I am Kindle reading Battle Beyond the Veil with Cassie Sanchez. Hopefully we'll have her on the show. That'd be so cool. Cassie. And then my physical book is The Apothecary Diaries. That has just been when I can read a physical book. I do plan on, I don't know, I really love the anime. So I'm reading all the books just to like fill that gap while season 3 is being written and animated. But yeah, I typically like to have one of all formats while I'm reading, just to be able to move through. My physical, again, that's my dog, Scarlet. Scarlet, you want to say hi to everybody? Hi, that's Scarlet. So baby, so cute. My physical book being like whenever I can and wherever I'm in a place where I can't have like electronics, I will have my physical book with me. My Kindle is really just for nighttime reads before I go to bed. And then my audiobook is just whenever I am doing stuff. That's my other dog, Jorg. He is an old man. But my audiobooks whenever I'm doing chores, like laundry, driving to and from work, doing chores around the house, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. It's been Lowdown with Lyss. Maybe I'll do that. Lowdown with Lyss. Week 2. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.